Good morning. So, I've been noticing this morning, I've been sitting out here on the side of the mountain contemplating. It's kind of rainy today. And I was thinking about how I've noticed that when I start creating movement towards something that I want in life, that something starts moving towards me as well. And I'm starting to notice that when there is something that I absolutely want and I start moving towards it and I start taking the steps, even when I don't know. Oh, look at all these birds. I don't know if you can see. Look, they're just right over me. There's tons of them. When I start taking steps towards whatever it is, just start doing the motions without even knowing how I'm going to do it. Somehow, always, the doors open and everything seems to work out. And what's got me thinking about this morning is, and then I'll tell more stories of it, is I need to I'm taking my son to renew his American passport. Now, we don't have any plans to go anywhere, but we all have our passports renewed, except for him, is my youngest son, my 14-year-old. And I didn't renew it during the summer when I renewed my other son's passport because it costs like $160 some, and we don't have plans. And I was thinking to myself, I don't have the money to do it right now. I'm just not going to do it. And then I started feeling like, why didn't I just do it when I had the chance? I should have just done it. And so I just started sitting down and I made an appointment. And now I see that everything is just playing out. I made an appointment, and then he's going to get his pictures taken. Next Tuesday, I'm going to Tel Aviv. All of a sudden, that's exactly as much money as I have left over in my bank account after my rent went out. And I'm seeing how everything just seems to, like, somehow play out when you start setting something in motion. It's like you start setting something in motion, and then the gap starts the gap starts closing. It's like that thing starts moving towards you. And then all of a sudden I start thinking, oh, it's perfect. I get to go to Tel Aviv because in Tel Aviv there is a stone store there that I want to go to pick up some stones to make orgonites. That I have everything else that I need to make the orgonites for. I have everything that I already ordered like a month ago or so. And so everything that I need I have at home except for the stones. So it's like when you start moving towards something, you start seeing how life plays out for you. How everything just seems to open and it all seems to come into play. And I was thinking about a few years ago when I went to Brazil. My daughter was in Peru, and she had been there for a couple of months, and she wanted me to come. And I told her, listen, if you go to Brazil, because my shaman lives in Brazil, I said, listen, if you go to Brazil, I'll come. And I didn't know how I was going to come. And she said, okay. And so I went, and I didn't know how I was going to pay for it, because it seems like I'm always in this state of, living paycheck to paycheck. And I just went and I put it on a credit card. I bought the ticket. I put it on a credit card. And somehow everything just turned out perfectly, that I was able to do it. I was able to rent a car. And everything just kind of worked out for me. And I didn't even feel it in my life. It wasn't like all of a sudden my life, I didn't even feel it. And I was able to do it. And I took time. Then I was working. I took time off work, and it all just worked out. So when I set it in motion and I decided I was going to do it, it all just happened for me. And I have those memories. And I look at my parents' life, right, who I was taught by. And so when I look at my parents' life, they never did things like that. They never went to hotels. I think maybe once in their married life had they ever gone to a hotel, and they've been together over 50 years. They never went on, vacations. They never went on barely any trips, because they always had this state of mind of lack. We can't do that. We can't do this. We can't do that. And there's so many things I remember my father speaking about, like he wanted to go to, he did do quite a few things. He moved his whole family over to Israel, which was, that's a big, that's moving people, moving your whole family overseas to live. When we were young, I was 12. And so he did accomplish the things that he wanted to do, but he could have accomplished so much more had he set things in motion, just decided that these are things that have to play out and just play them out. And I'm starting to notice that that is how my life is. The things that are that I have to have in my life that are automatic, they are just a given. Like when I go to the hot springs, like every other day or almost every day this week, when I go to the hot springs, it's a given for me. It's like, that's not something, it's something that I take into consideration as, I don't even take it into consideration. It just is. And it's not something I say, oh, when I came back from the States, okay. So let me tell you, when I grew up, we grew up in my family's home, always feeling like we were poor. We were always poor. We never had money for anything. And it was like a real lack kind of, where every month it's a struggle to pay rent and to pay electricity. And it's a mindset. It really is a mindset. And it's also, it determines how you feel in regards to relativity to your surroundings. So you always feel like you're less than your surroundings, or like everybody else has and you don't have. Or, my clothes were always secondhand, but I still like my clothes secondhand. I still mostly go, you just find the coolest things in the secondhand stores. And I also like to recycle. I like the whole idea. I think there's way too much production in that. So this coat I got in a bag. This my daughter gave me. I don't know where she got it from. My pajama. Okay, so my pajama I did buy in Walmart, but I did buy it over 10 years ago in Walmart when I was living in the States. And so, and one of the big things that when I was growing up, that one of the things that I couldn't stand, there's some things that I have like embedded in me that I can't stand. I can't stand the word hassle. Like, it's such a hassle. That's something I heard growing up so much. I can't stand that word. I don't like to hear it. I don't use it. It makes me think of like laziness. And because it is a lazy word, hassle. It's a hassle. It's like I don't want to put any effort forward. And then the one of the things that I grew up that I really disliked, because I like going places, is the gas money thing. I grew up that there was always talk about gas money for this, gas money for that. We don't have gas money. No, we don't go. No, we don't. Like, it's like you don't move your car. If you think of gas money of just going to the supermarket, like gas money. It's always was something that was like, and that was one thing that after, when I first got married, I still was in that mindset. And then after we moved to the States and we had a successful business and I know what it feels like to live a life where you have plenty, a plentiful life. And gas wasn't something that you even take into consideration when, it was a given. And that was something that I promised myself, that I'm never going to, gas money, that is not something that is something that I'm not going to like make any kind of, that's a given. And that is pretty much how I live my life. That was something that I took off the table. I'm never going to do myself, like not go somewhere because of, maybe the gas money. If I want to go, I go. And I'm not saying, there were a couple of times that I just couldn't, when the corona broke out, where I didn't have the means. I couldn't. And And that was okay, but still, it's a mindset. That's not something that I take into consideration. My car needs gas, I put gas in. That is like one of my number ones. It's like right alongside food, even more so. It's like something that is in my mind locked. And so what I've noticed is that whenever I do really, really, really want something, it's not even something that I have to think about or take into consideration. It's just something that I start moving towards, and it happens. And like my trip to Brazil, or like, and I see, like, in hindsight, I can look back. That was in 2019, I guess. Was it 2018 or 2019? And it didn't change the way that I lived at all. It didn't change my home environment. It didn't take away from my children. Nothing changed because of it. It just kind of merged into my life. And that is something that I was sitting here thinking about, is that whenever I really want something and I start moving towards it, the gap closes between me and that thing. And somehow it always plays out. And that's what I'm thinking about with my work and with my, my providence, and even, let's say, these videos, right? So these videos, I feel like, are a given. I feel like it's something that is kind of being born out of me. It's something that I needed to be able to get expression for everything that I'm going through. And I kind of feel like it's my God's work. And it can take up sometimes even a few hours of my day every day. And I don't do like cheshbon. There's a word I keep on looking for in English. It's like I don't, maybe I should talk positively. Like, it's something that it feels like to me is a given. Those are the big stones. When you have the jar and you put the big stones in first, the things that are an absolute, that have to be in your life, always find a way to be in your life. Like these videos. Right now, there's not really any kind of a lot of monetary value. A lot of monetary value from the videos. But I feel like it's something that I kind of almost have to do. It's almost like it's a given. And it was just like the gas money. The gas money is a given. And so in my life, that is a given. It always is working out for me. It always is coming into, here, look. No, these aren't them. I'm checking out the greens. Everything, ever since it started raining, the ground has been, there's a lot of greens that are growing. So in the mornings when I'm out on my morning walks, I usually pick some greens because they're high in all sorts of minerals and vitamins. And I also feel like when you live on a land, there's a really a special feeling about eating food that was grown on that land. It's like you become a part of the land that you live on. The land that you live on becomes a part of you. And so I'm really giving this a lot of thought this morning, how when I really, really, really want something, and I it's a knowing, it comes into a place of already, like, I'm just doing it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to figure it out. It always happens, and it never makes, when it's something that comes from that place, like of an absolute, it never takes from anything else in my life. And this is something that I'm beginning to notice, and I'm starting to put movement in it in my life, just like these videos. These videos, I feel like they add to my life. And I don't sit down and tell myself, oh, you can't do any videos anymore because it's taking up too much of your valuable time. You should be doing something else with your time. No. You should be doing something that brings money in with your time, that, work on your work instead of making the videos. No, the videos are like first. It's an absolute. First of all, it's almost like I can't even stop them. It's almost like when I have something to talk about, I have to talk about it. And I'm really starting to see this as a pattern. I'm starting to see it over and over and over. I can see the opposite pattern, like in my parents when they didn't, put things into their absolute, how they just missed out on things that they wanted to do in life. It's almost like they settled. And then I see the things that they did want to do, like move your whole family to Israel and start life over, that they did do. So it's like they had the power to do things and to accomplish things in their life. And it's just like my trip to Brazil. And that's just one example, but that was a big example because it cost me a lot of money, and I had to take like a couple of my shaman. I was just talking about my shaman, and he just wrote me. That is so funny. That keeps happening. And yesterday it happened a few times. It happened with, the day before yesterday with my ex-boyfriend. I was thinking about him, and he wrote me, and now it's my shaman. I was just talking about him in this video, and there he is. It's so funny. See how things happen when you start realizing that you have like these powers, but you don't even know that you have them. It's just like this. It's exactly what I'm talking about. It's exactly what I'm talking about. When you start moving towards something, you don't even know how it works. And when you trust, you just see, you can look in hindsight a lot of time and see, wow, I was doing this and this, and look how everything opened up. And a lot of times you can't control how it opens up. You can just decide to put it into your life. Like now, I couldn't have said, okay, contact me. And then, but I talk about him and I think about him. And for some reason, it just brings him in. And so I was talking about Brazil, and then he's in Brazil. So he's the one that I was talking about. And so that's just crazy like that. And see, that's how it works. When you start moving towards something, it starts moving towards you, and you don't even know. It's like magic. And here's like a live sample while I'm doing the video. This is crazy. And more synchronicities like that are showing up in my life. Just more and more synchronicities. The day before yesterday, I was thinking about, I was going through my Google pictures because I'm building my site, and I wanted to find a picture of myself to put in a certain place. And I saw a couple of pictures of my ex-boyfriend. I started thinking about him and remembering and remembering the trip that we did. And then it was either that same day or the next day, or I was thinking maybe I'll call him and ask how he is. It was either that same day or the very next day that he called me after months that we haven't spoken. And so that's like, it's also like, I was like, and I told him, I was just thinking about you. I was just looking at pictures. It's crazy how those things happen. And these are the kinds of things that are from the universe, because these aren't things that how could things like this happen? And it's just like that real magic. When you decide that you are, gas money is a given, then gas money becomes a given. No matter, you could be struggling in other places, and how am I going to do this, and how am I going to do that? But gas money is a given, no matter how much it is. And it always is. And it doesn't seem to take from any other place in your life when it becomes a given. And so, and also you don't even know how it works out, like with the gas money thing or with the Brazil trip. You don't know how it works out. It just all seems to play out somehow and work out. It's like not something that you even take into consideration almost. It's like a given. And when you put something in your life as a given, it just becomes a given. You don't control where it comes from. So there are things that I'm putting into my life, and things that, without attachment to them. It's like, it's just like the gas money. I put it into my life and I disattached from it. It's not something that I think about often. I'm telling you about it now, but it's not something that I sit and I say, okay, I'm going to have this gas money and I'm holding on to the gas money thing. And not at all. It's not something that I think about. It's just something that is. It's something that flows. It's something that is obvious. It's something that is a given, pretty much. And I keep on going back to like these thoughts of what Tony Robbins said about you always get your musts. You don't always get your wants, but you always get your musts. So wherever your musts are, whatever level your musts are at, you always get them. Like if you in your musts have to have, you know, you always pay all of your bills on time and everything is, you know, and you always have plenty of money for everything. Those are your musts. Your life works out like that. If your musts are, sometimes you have money and so usually you pay things late, then those are your musts and that's how your life will work out. Whatever your musts are, they always seem to play out. And so that's really where what I'm thinking about on this, you know, on this, what I'm thinking about is putting things into my musts and not worrying about how they're going to play out, because I can see that when I start setting something in motion, the gap closes. It's just like I was talking about. Here's another example in my life right now. I was talking about, okay, I'm going to open up myself for dating, right? And so just yesterday, I started a conversation with a really nice man that we set up, that we're going to meet. So I have to say, you know, if I'm honest, yeah, yeah. So I feel like, okay, there's some kind of movement in my life. There's some kind of movement. I don't know to say if I'm really super excited about it, but I feel kind of like curious. I feel curious. I feel curious to meet somebody new and to see what will happen. So that I do feel. And I'm also like it's funny how I just say, okay, I'm ready to open this up for me, and how it just opens up. It's not like I went out searching for it, or you know, it was somebody in Facebook that had written me before or something, and that had asked me for a friend request, and so I went in and I wrote, you know, I answered some messages, and then he asked me if I wanted to talk, and I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And then, so we talked. And so it wasn't like, you know, all I had to do was tell myself that I'm open up for the option. I'm open up for the option, and then the option comes in. It's like once you just decide something, or you start moving towards something, it becomes a given. It's just like this passport thing. It's like, okay, so I'm going to do this, and then he'll have a passport. And then it's not like we have plans, but if we do, if everybody decides all of a sudden and all the options open and we can go to the States for a trip, that is ready. And I feel almost like it's working up towards that. Like a lot of times things like this happen where I go and I start setting something in motion, and I don't even know why I'm setting it in motion, because his passport will only be valid, it will be valid for 5 years, right? We don't have any plans of going anywhere. But I decided that I'm just going to go ahead and renew his passport. And I can kind of feel in me that it's working up towards something. There's something working. There's magic somewhere here under, because it's kind of out of the blue. It's kind of out of the blue. Just something that came up, and then everything is pointing towards, you know, it's really hard to get an appointment with the embassy. And all of a sudden I got an appointment just like that. Like, it took me a few times to try to fill out the form, but I got it really quickly. And I got it just for next week. Yesterday I made it. Yesterday was Wednesday. Today's Thursday. Yesterday I made the appointment, and the appointment is next Tuesday. And so I have to set everything in motion really quick. So this morning I gave him money to go and get his passport pictures. And so everything is already like set in motion. And it's really funny how those things kind of work out like that. And kind of an update on yesterday, I saw my twin. I went yesterday morning. I got up Yesterday I was just kind of flat. I didn't record anything yesterday. I didn't feel like I could. Even now, you see, it's kind of like a video that I'm just kind of open and just kind of talking, whatever comes. Yesterday, so I went in the morning. I got up in the morning and I sat down. I just didn't feel like I could do any work. I feel like I'm being pushed to my limits until my limits let go. It's like a release. Maybe I should do a separate video about it. I think I probably should. This one is already long and this is a completely different subject. So I am going to thank you for watching. I'm actually going to go and write with my, back and forth with my shaman. He's a sweetie. So thank you for watching.